And now we have thick, dense ice cream every night. We spend this 20 minutes and every night we get delicious ice cream. Amazing. Hey guys, I am taking the Keto Chow protein powder and turning it into a delicious, low calorie, low carb dessert that I can have every night and not feel any guilt. And it is thick, rich deliciousness every night, and I'm able to stay on track to lose my weight. Hello, I've lost 180 pounds on a meat-focused diet. My weight creeps up from time to time, and right now I'm in the middle of a carnivore-ish reset. We haven't made a creamy video in a long time, have we? So I guess it's about that time. You don't have to use the brands that I use. You don't have to do anything. But I am looking for specific macros in mine. You know, you can buy a pint of that ice cream in the store and it's like 300-400 calories for the whole pint. That's cool. But the way I make it, it's 118 calories per pint. So I eat this whole thing for 120 calories. And that to me is very important because I am doing this as a side dish, as a dessert. I am not doing this as part of my meal. So having said that, I know a lot of people say, well, Keto Chow is a meal supplement. Oh my gosh, you are so right. It really is a meal supplement. I agree. However, that's if you add a half cup of heavy cream. I don't want to add a fat source because I'm eating fat with my meal, with my meat. So this I treat as a dessert. So I want to get that out there immediately. So also another thing I add, it is, it's 1/2 of a teaspoon per serving. So I use 1 teaspoon whenever I mix up flavors. So it is, this container, it's half glucomannan and half xanthan gum. I get those from Walmart, Amazon, wherever you get them from. So glucomannan and xanthan gum. I've tried one or the other, but to me that combination works better. I just like it really thick. I like thick ice cream, dense. So we'll be adding that too. The very first thing I do is I look and see what my flavors are that I've got here. Like this lemon, let's see. I have a butterscotch. I think I'd like to do a butterscotch mixed with chocolate. Ooh, wait, mixed with chocolate malt. That'll be a good one. And then you all are the ones that taught me to mix and match things. I have what else do I have? Orange, pistachio. Ooh, I love me a pistachio. Let's do a pistachio and snickerdoodle. That'll be a good one. And then let's do a kind of fruity one. So we'll do a lemon meringue with just plain food with chocolate toffee. So that's kind of what I do. I just kind of like, first off, PQRS. Hang on. I have to figure out my alphabet here. I pick out what flavors I'm going to do. And you don't have to mix and match. So I do individuals sometimes too. But I'm being lazy today. So this is where we're at. So hang on, let me get things set up. First things first, I write out my flavor combinations on 2 of these little labels. Okay, so now once I have the flavor combinations, I kind of just put them in their little piles. And I have some containers that have to have a specific lid because I ordered them separately. So I kind of get all my container lids ready. You have to have green and teal. So from here, I'm going to go ahead and get my labels on the lids, and I'll be right back. So next up, we're going to do lemon and chocolate toffee. So I'm going to get these poured into there. Lemon, chocolate toffee, and now I add in my thickener. And again, I use a full teaspoon for 2 servings. So if I was just using one flavor, I would use a half of a teaspoon. And now I add water. I go with warm water just to help mix things up a little bit. So, and when I'm not recording, I usually just have the water running, but I'm gonna add some warm water. I just fill it up because we're making 2 of these. So I wish, what I need to get is like a 40-ounce shaker cup, so then I can just fill it up and not have to rinse it, but that's all right, this works. What you don't wanna do is get your water too hot. Because if you get your water too hot, what's going to happen is when you open it, it's going to spurt out at you. Or when you shake it, it's going to pop open. In the past, I used to put hot coffee in these, which was dumb because every time I popped it open, it would splash out at me. So you don't want hot, steaming hot water in any kind of cup that seals, because or that could splash out at you. That's why that one water cup got recalled from Walmart. So you can see this is real thick. It's real thick. But that's how I get it the way I like it. Let's get this poured in here. They're not all this chunky. It's funny, sometimes the flavors work a little different. I guess some of them maybe don't get shook as well. I could probably take the lid off, but that would make too much sense. Let me try that. It's like oatmeal, that's kind of funny. I don't want to get all that out because I'm going to add more water so I can shake it up more. So I'm going to stop right about there and add some more water. I'll be right back. So I do add more water because I want to thin it out and fill this up. I'm not worried about it having some chunks inside of it. I'm sure there's other methods. Some people would say, why don't I use my bullet blender? I've had people ask that question, and that is a great question. The reason why I don't is that froths it way more than what I prefer. I don't want this to be frothed up. I want it to be like a shake. See, now that I've added water, it's definitely thinner. And so now I just kind of pour back and forth evenly, and I'm going to add more water because your girl wants this as much as she can eat. So I'm going to add water until it gets full. Now, do you have to add water? Keep adding water? Nope. But one, it kind of cleans it out a little bit for the next flavor. And two, again, I want the max amount for my macros. I like full. I like to be full when I eat. So there we go. So now let's get these over in the freezer. I'll be right back. Oh, no, I lied. Hang on. Let's get these stirred a little bit. After I add the water in, I do stir it up a little bit. Just kind of let that water blend in with the thick, chunkier parts. And you know I will. Dang tootin'. All right, now let's get them in the freezer. Okay, I'm going to put these on the bottom shelf, no particular reason. I leave them open for 24 hours. And then what I'll do is tomorrow night when I start eating them, I will then, hang on, I've got an extra one over here. We'll blend that one up at the end. Tomorrow night, after they've been frozen for 24 hours, then I'll put the lids on all of these. So let's get the others done. When I do the next flavor, I definitely add water to it at first because it kind of helps to keep it from sticking on the bottom. Thickener, pistachio, snickerdoodle, shake, pour. Add water and shake and pour. Repeat until full. Stir. Freeze. Thickener, chocolate malt, butterscotch, add water and shake. Pour. Add water, shake, and repeat until full. Stir. Freeze. Again, you're setting yourself up for success when anytime you do any type of prepping. So now, when I come home from work and I eat my food, and while I'm prepping my food, while I'm cooking my food, getting it ready, this will literally take about 7 minutes to do running my creamy. And in 7 minutes, I have me a low calorie, low carb, amazing frozen dessert. So how do we get it from that to creamy? I'll show you. A creamy machine is not just a machine for me, people like me. This is an investment in my health. So, you know, you have to decide if this is okay for you. This particular one is not the deluxe version. This is just the basic one from Sam's. It came with, I think, three of these containers. I bought more as time's gone on. But the way it works is you have a lid and you have a blade. You put your blade in there. And what I do is I tap it to make sure the blade does not come off. You set your canister down in here. There is little holes in there and non-holes there. That keeps it, because this blade is going down and up and down and up, and it's a very sharp blade. So those holes and then those divots, that's what keeps it from spinning, the container itself. So please know, the way I make them, it is loud. I'm sure if I used more milky products instead of water, then it would not be as loud and it would be a lot smoother. But again, I do this for macros. I'm watching my calories and my carbs and my fat. So I don't want to add a bunch of excess to this. So for me, this is how I have to do. Because this is a water thing, I've done both. I've done sorbet and I've done light ice cream. That basically determines how fast and how long and all that. But we're gonna go with sorbet today. But before I push that button, I need you to understand, if you buy this machine and if you make them the way I make them, it's gonna sound like somebody is running a chainsaw in your kitchen. This is not something you want to do at 2 o'clock in the morning when your spouse and your kids are sleeping, because this will wake up the house. This could wake up the dead if you live near a gravesite. So anyway, I usually have to run this 2 to 3 times. Sometimes it's 3, sometimes it's 2. The fruitier things tend to take longer. They're a little more powdery, but I'll show you after we do one run, and it's about 2 minutes. It's ran its course. So there is a blade. And let me just tip it up. There's a blade right there, and that, not blade, but a pole, and it goes down and up and down and up. And based on what I've seen videos on TikTok or on YouTube where they actually look at the blade to see, like they got a new one, so they took theirs apart and they wanted to look at the blade inside, and it was very clean. Now usually I lick this, but for the sake of some of you people, I'm just gonna wipe that off. And because what's happening is, as the pole goes up, it does leave some residue behind up on the external part. Let me see if I can show you, like right up in there. That's some leftover chocolate, but we'll clean that later. We'll clean that later. Sorry, I have a timer going off. So now I put it back on. And, oh, Terry. So this is the first run. It is just powder. I'm not going to blow it, but I could, and it would just go all over the place. But it's because it's so frozen, it becomes a powder first. So you're working it from a powder to a cream. So we do it again, and we run it for another cycle, and we'll take a look. This is the second round. By the way, this is chocolate butterscotch. That's the flavor of this one. So take a look. Yep, see it's starting to clump, but it's still a little on the powdery side. And you can see it's starting to collect a little bit in there, which is fine. So I put the lid back on it, and we'll let her run again. This time I'm gonna set a timer on my stove. I think it's 2 minutes, maybe it's not, but let's run it a third time. So the timer went off and it spun for maybe 5 more seconds. But let's see how it's looking now. Oh yeah, when there's suction on here, I know it's gonna be a good texture. So let's take a look. Oh yeah, that. I'll show you, hang on. Let me scoop this out. So what I do is I scoop all this out. I'm gonna show you how I clean it out before we eat it. Let me stick this out of the way. I'm gonna go ahead and clean this, but first let me show you the way I clean this right here is the way I clean this is I take a paper towel and I just kind of rub around that bar. And just kind of go around it. And then I also take a bleach wipe. You don't have to use a bleach wipe, but I do. That was how we had to sanitize things when I worked in the deli. So we had to use bleach water. And so it's not like this gets used for another 24 hours. So I can just wipe this off. And now it's gonna sit and think about all the hard work it just did. So I push that back and then I set this thing underneath it. And then we come over here and I clean this. I'll clean this. Usually I let it soak, but anyway, I do take out the little, I forget what this little stopcock, I guess this rubber thing, I take that out. So anyway, we're gonna clean that, but I'll clean that later. Well, I'll show you. When I pull this off, because you have to push the button to release the blade, I take the blade and I pop off the little rubber gasket, and then I run hot water and then some Dawn. And I usually just let it all soak while I'm eating my supper and then while I eat the creamy. So then when I'm done eating, I come back and rinse it all off and I lay everything out on this and easy peasy. So again, every night after I'm done, or as I'm making my meal, I run the creamy, and when it's done, I just let it sit to the side. And then after I'm done eating my meal, I can have a 120 calorie, low carb, low calorie, delicious flavor creamy. So all right, let's try it, just a second. So I don't like to hold cold, wet things. So I bought these little cute koozies off of Amazon. So anyway, so that's what that's for. So now it is ready to go. And now we have thick, dense ice cream every night. We spend this 20 minutes and every night we get delicious ice cream. Amazing. Really quick, I want to give you the macros on one of these keto chow packages without all of the cream and stuff. So what is in here? And I also plug in on my tracker app. I do plug in the xanthan gum and glucomannan. But if you don't like yours this thick, it is 116 calories. Total carbs is 3. There's 1 fiber. Protein is 26. And calories 116 in this particular one. So they're all around the same macros, so around 120 calories, around 3 to 4 total carbs, and 20 something protein. So if you're looking to get your protein up and you're having issues doing that, you can again have a dense, thick, delicious ice cream every night that you don't have to feel guilty about.